Welcome to Just Disserts, the podcast where we talk with scholars who have successfully defended their dissertations and earned the title of doctor. Each episode explores the research behind the work, the journey to the defense, and the lessons learned along the way, from first proposal to final approval. Whether you're in the middle of your own dissertation or reflecting on the path you've already taken, these are the stories behind the scholarship. Welcome to Just Disserts, proof that suffering can be peer-reviewed.
All right, welcome back to Just Desserts, where we break down doctoral dissertations into meaningful conversations that inspire and inform. Today's episode, we're diving into Dr. Gretta Sharp's dissertation, which is From Educators to Administrators, the Role of Mentorship in the Ascension of Women into Leadership Roles. While women have made major gains in school leadership positions like principal and vice principal, they remain significantly underrepresented in the superintendency. So the big question is, what helps women move from the classroom into top leadership roles? And if memory serves from reading your dissertation and looking through it, your research explores how mentoring, especially woman-to-woman mentoring, plays a transformative role in that journey. And you examined how emotional intelligence and strength-based leadership conversations shape powerful mentoring relationships that help women find their voice. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Build confidence and step into leadership. So for those of you that are interested in leadership development, mentorship, or advancing women in education, this is the conversation, right? So let's get into it. So Dr. Sharp, what I wanted to do with this particular YouTube channel was just humanize the journey a little bit. I don't know about you, but as I was going through the dissertation journey, I found lots of resources related to how to write certain chapters. You know, if we were going down the qualitative route, like you and I were, how to get information about writing chapters, especially chapters 3, the methodology, and chapters 4, writing up results. Got a lot of guidance from our chairs and the rest of the committee, which was great. But I really wanted to hear more about like people's actual journeys into doctoral programs and what it was really like in the grind of it all. So I thought you could help enlighten us a little bit about that.
Oh, okay. You know what? I was really excited once I got to the dissertation piece because I thought, now I have a voice. I can start exploring and researching and just finding what could help other women because I know what I had went through. I just wanted to see if there were similar stories. And it's amazing that even though my journey began decades before a lot of the women that I interviewed, many of them shared similar experiences. But the one key factor was that they had women and males that actually poured into them. And I love the use of the terminology pour because I kept thinking about this empty vessel being poured into, not just intelligently to enlighten them with facts, figures, and those sorts of things, but holistically, so that they were pouring into them to make them whole, to make them actually see themselves as not just a woman or this educated, intelligent being, but as a person who has empathy and emotions and who want to inquire about the things of this world and find out what there is that they're lacking and how they can improve and explore that. So that just made it even better.
I love it.
And I'm still using it today. You know, they're still having me like do PDs before the school and talk about things like they changed our diversity wording to integrity. And they wanted me to speak on that.
Wow.
And so I said, when you look at the word integrity and you break it down, you get integer. And the integer just means the whole heart.
Right.
So how can we teach? How can we lead if we don't come with our whole self?
Yeah.
That means I'm emotionally present. I'm physically present. I'm also intellectually present. But all of me is right there listening and being willing to help someone else on their journey to become.
Oh my
So
goodness.
so that was just fun for me,
I
and
love
I
it.
just love doing those little things
Hmm.
so that we can just keep going forever.
Yeah, yeah. So I must ask you, what led you to the doctoral program? What did you study as an undergrad and maybe grad? And how long were the gaps in between those different degrees?
Oh wow. So not long.
Okay.
Let's see. I started uh, let me back up. So I worked in the insurance industry for almost 25 years.
Hmm.
And when I was downsized, I was so happy because I had written this program for mentoring. I wanted to mentor young children in an arts program because I believed that art is important to enhance their cognitive abilities.
Hmm.
I believe that like music and creative drawing and creative expression all leads to a better self. And they help us with our critical thinking, not just those cognition skills. So I wanted to branch off into that. So I started working on it. I got a group of kids. We were going at it, and then I'm telling them, you can get a college degree. And then I realized I am such a hypocrite because I didn't have a college degree. So, how in the world do I tell them to get something that I don't have?
Wait, so did all this happen? Did all this happen while you were working in insurance? What was the connection to insurance, or was this a passion project on the side?
Oh, well, this was a passion project on the side.
Okay.
So I was in like 2009. We had just been acquired by another insurance company, and I didn't really care for it. It
Hmm.
wasn't as fun. I didn't feel as engaged as I
Hmm.
used to, and I wanted to do something more. And I thought about my children and all those leaders who actually poured into them.
Hmm.
I wanted to be that catalyst for other students. So I said, you know what? I could work in the schools and work with those kids
Hmm.
and get them, acclimated to these different programs. And we could look at their scores and everything. I started out with a summer program. I was downsized at the end of 2009. And by the summer of 2010, I was already in the church, already doing a summer program with about 30 kids
Wow.
in the summer program. And they went from their scores being below,
Hmm.
and they had increased some of them anywhere from 20 to 30 percentage points.
That's unbelievable.
And that was just over the summer. And we were having fun, we were engaged, we would use music and art to actually explore all these other
Hmm.
things. And they didn't even know they were using things like math, and they
Sure.
were actually writing. And they said, oh, I don't like writing, but you're doing it. And so, it was amazing. We had their books published, and it was great. Had something to actually give them to take home and show their parents. But then that kept gnawing at me that I'm telling them they could do something that I had not yet done.
Hmm.
So I pulled out of it. I disbanded the organization because we had our 401(c)(3.
Hmm.
We were good to go. And I said, I can't do this
Hmm.
because I'm not credible. I'm telling them to do something that I haven't even done.
Oh my goodness.
So I decided
Hmm.
to go back to school.
Love it.
So in 2011, I registered as a new student at Martin University. I graduated from there in 2013 with my bachelor's degree.
Hmm.
And my professor was Dr. Smith Staley. And she actually was a student at Indiana Wesleyan getting her doctorate degree while I was getting my undergrad.
Hmm.
So she wrote me my first recommendation for my master's program. She said, oh no, go to Indiana Wesleyan for your master's program. I'm like, okay. So I signed up and I went for organizational leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt so good about the program. I'm like, this is great. I got to write and talk to people and people who were interested in becoming more and actually using their gifts to serve other people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
So
say is
that,
also did the religious aspect and the fact that it had, it was a Christian university play a role in that decision as well for you? Because
oh,
God has played a huge part in your
absolutely.
life, right?
Yeah. The service piece, you don't know how much they've enlightened me. As a matter of fact, I have left the church. That's another thing that I was attending because I want some place that's actually community oriented.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't want to just sit on a pew. I want to make a difference. And what was that thing that they gave us when we first enrolled? Remember the notebook and it said, be the change you want to see,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that.
Of course.
And that resonated so deeply with me. I'm like, I am in the right place.
That's
So I was
fantastic.
so excited.
So you finished your so you
So
went through the master's program.
yeah, went through the master's program. I was out of it for about a month. And then I get this email from one of the recruitment
Mm-hmm.
people about, hey, would you be interested in continuing your education? We have doctoral programs. And I thought, oh, do I really want to do this? And I thought, you know what? I'll just send in an application.
Mm-hmm.
And if they say, you're in, then I'm supposed to be here. But if they say, we're sorry, I'm okay. I'm okay with I'm sorry. Because, I'm teaching now and I feel fulfilled because
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching. But then when I got that letter saying you've been accepted into the doctoral program, I remember the emotions were just
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming. I'm like, oh my God, this is so great. I'm in the doctoral program. And I'm like, my dad always said, you are going to be a doctor or an attorney because you won't hush and you will always argue your point. I'm sure he thought it was going to be an attorney, but no.
No, that's too funny. So nothing really moved you from maybe someday time doing this because there wasn't a huge time gap. It all just was God's plan for you, huh?
Yeah, it was just back to back,
Wow.
back to back.
Wow.
Uh, and actually, after the doctoral program, that was tough for me because I was like, what am I supposed to do now?
Uh-huh.
And but I teach at a school where I'm able, they place me in a leadership program, and I designed a coaching model,
Mm.
which was a lot of fun for
Ah,
me,
great
and
transition.
worked with a lot of awesome teachers. I still work with teachers because I help them become more culturally responsive to our
Hmm.
students. And also, I empower them to be leaders in their classroom instead of managers.
Mm.
Because we're always told you manage in your classroom.
Right.
And I'm like, no, you want to lead in your classroom.
Right.
And if your voice is the only voice I hear when I come in to observe you, you are not leading well.
Wow.
So,
So when you applied to the doctoral program and you got in, everyone in your
yes,
family, your kids, your daughters were all supportive of it. And were there anyone that said, "What are you getting into, Miss
yeah,
Greta?" Yeah.
you know what? It's funny that you said that. My family were hugely supportive. It was my church that was not.
Oh.
Yeah. My church actually made comments like, you're not going to get a man because you have too much education. And then I can remember sitting in a Bible study, and one of the leaders within the church said, and he was asking the question to the pastor and said, isn't too much education a sin?
Stop it.
So I looked from him to the pastor, waiting to see what the pastor was
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
say. And the pastor says, well, the Bible does say that knowledge puffeth up. And I did not raise my hand and wait to be acknowledged or anything. I just blurted out. The Bible also said God no longer weeps at ignorance. And what you just said is ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, well, okay, let's get back to the lesson. And that was when I knew this was no longer the place for me.
Oh my goodness, so
Because,
interesting.
it's this knowledge that's going to help enlighten and help and serve his people.
Yeah,
So how in the world could you be against that?
right, right. So you get
So I
into
knew that was no longer the place for me.
yeah, yeah. So you get into the doctoral program and tell us a little bit. Did you have imposter syndrome? Did you? I mean, you came right from the master's program in org
Yeah.
leadership, so you had a leg up on the rest of us here. But did you ever feel like, geez, am I in the right place? Am I good enough for this? Tell us a little bit about
Absolutely.
it.
Am I smart enough?
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, should I really be in this program? I'm looking around and I'm like, golly, I'm here with all these young people that have fresh minds that are vibrant and youthful. And, I'm thinking, do I really have a place here? And and I'm like, and what am I going to do with it after I get it? How am I going to help it? But then I have this really, really close friend, and her name is Linda, and she said, your doctorate only lets the world see what we've known all along.
Ugh, such
And
sage
so
advice.
I'm like, oh, you're so sweet. And yeah, so I mean, it was really nice. Just reminding myself that I still need to be humble and I can't act like I've arrived some point because I have this doctorate. The doctorate just makes me more of a servant. So now my task is greater because now I've given you all of this. What are you going to do for my children?
Right, right. And as we learned through the program, earning your doctorate and a terminal degree it can be a burden because you realize how much you don't know about the world, right?
Oh,
Rather than not, perhaps naive people that haven't continued studies and haven't continued to seek knowledge and wisdom,
yeah.
we realize the more we learn, the more we don't know.
The more we don't know. And when I tell my students that, they're like, but you're a doctor. I'm like, okay, but that doesn't mean I know everything.
Teaches you to ask more questions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
I said, why do you think I'm always asking questions?
Hmm.
And I listen to everything you say.
Hmm.
It's because I want to know more. I will never know all that there is to know.
Right.
I won't even know a billionth of a percent of what there is to know in this world. Oh my God, it's so expansive.
It
My
is.
mind is not that great. Not
So,
that great.
so
Ah,
share a little wisdom about the doctoral coursework. So 3 years of classwork, and what surprised you the most, or what are some of your memories of that experience?
man, you know what? When I came in thinking that I had a pretty good idea of what church folk are like. I came in thinking that I knew about certain things and that I shouldn't have to study.
Hmm.
After all, I made it in. Shouldn't you just want to listen to my opinions? Do you remember the most humbling thing was when I think it was, oh, which one was it? I can't remember. It was like the first week.
Dr. Ludden.
And yes. And he said, I did not come here to listen to your unsubstantiated opinions. I was like, oops.
Okay.
Oh, you talk about making me feel like an ant
Mm-hmm.
under some giant's foot.
Sure.
That was great for me. Such a humbling moment, letting me know you have not arrived and you never will
Mm-hmm.
because there's always more.
Right. Right. Right.
I think that was the best lesson ever.
Yeah.
That lesson put me in my place in such a calming way. I mean, I went back to that dorm room and I opened those books and started writing and
Mm-hmm.
making notes. It
Mm-hmm.
was great. So I could actually say, well, da 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 said, you know.
Right, right. So you persevered through the 3 years, and this brings us to the comprehensive exam. So tell us a little
Ugh.
bit about your comp experience. And yeah, yeah.
Sean, I tell you, I felt like I felt really, really unintelligent in that moment. I felt like a press secretary who could only say, I'm unable to answer that question. I mean, my first comp exam, my amygdala was hijacked with fear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I looked in their faces and there were no smiles,
No, no.
no nothing, just blank stares at me, asking me these questions. And all of a sudden, everything shut down. And so it's amazing because I use that with my students and my teachers now. I tell them when a student walks in your room,
Mm-hmm.
it's up to you to make sure that their amygdala does not hijack
Mm-hmm.
their central processing unit,
Mm-hmm.
that they're able to continue to think and that cortisol isn't released and then their brain just shuts down because then you've lost them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I'm like, how are you going to engage them in such a way that it doesn't shut down the whole process? But what helped me continue to persevere after that tragic first comprehensive exam, which I failed, was my son-in-law. At the time, my daughter and son-in-law lived with me because they had sold their other home and they were in the process of having a new home built. So they came and they stayed with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so he came home from work and he said, are we celebrating? And I said, uh-uh. I said, not at all. I said, I couldn't answer anything. I said, I just froze. And then he started asking me, well, what were some of the questions?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, they asked me about this. And so then he said, well, what is it? And I started telling him.
Oh no.
And then he said, well, what else did they ask you? And so he kept doing this. And I kept just talking. I said, yes. And they asked me, and I should have said da 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 da, but I did not say
Mm-hmm.
any of that. And he said, Mama Greta. And I said, yes. He said, you need to find out what shut down
Right.
in you that caused you to forget all of this because I'm asking you now and you're answering your own questions.
Sure.
So clearly you knew. So what was it? I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. He said, well, you need to figure it out between the next test.
Mm-hmm.
So the next test, we're all online, and I'm about to start the same way from the last test. But this time I tell them what my dad used to always say. And I said, you know what? In the words of my daddy, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your skirt. I just can't recall at this moment, but give me a moment and I will.
Mm-hmm.
And when they started laughing, that released all of
Attention.
the tension.
Oh my goodness.
And then all of a sudden I was able to answer the questions. But I don't know. It was just something about their looks through the computer. And I think the anxiety, like, oh my God, I can't look away from the computer. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just staring at them because
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid to look away because I don't want them to think that I'm doing anything that I'm not supposed to be doing.
Right, right. So,
So, yeah.
so you passed this one. So what was that celebration like?
Oh my God, it was amazing. It was so much fun. When I told my kids, of course, our favorite place is going to Texas Roadhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Don't laugh. So we all went to Texas Roadhouse and oh my God, we ate and then they told everybody and family members were calling me and my sisters were calling me and my brother. So that was so exciting. So I'm like, oh my God, the worst part is over. I thought that was the worst
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it.
It was the worst. It was the worst.
It was the worst because actually I didn't mind any of the other defenses. I didn't care about defending my first three chapters because they were my three chapters.
That's right.
I had poured into them and I knew them and I could argue them because that was me on that paper.
That's right.
But it was totally different arguing someone else's thoughts.
Yeah. So you get past the comp exam. So tell us a little bit about the forming of the dissertation committee. So your committee chair, Dr. Barnes, was she,
Yes.
assigned based on your topic of study? And it sounds like you got two wonderful committee members to support you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? They were absolutely great. They gave me a lot of support, especially uh, when we would meet. They would give me all these ideas.
Hmm.
We had teachers, who said that because I said, women, and they said, well, but you have to now actually define what you're looking for.
Hmm.
So, we had to make sure the wording said born as women, born female,
Right.
and to make sure, and then still presented themselves
Hmm.
as as a female.
Got it.
So that was a little bit more dicey
Hmm.
because then, I was like, oh, okay, so that cuts down some of my my population.
Yeah.
And so then just finding the right people. So needless to say, remember when we first started and they said wherever you're working at, stay there.
Hmm.
Remember that?
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I had went to three different places. So yeah,
Life happens,
I-
It's yeah.
yeah. Oh my God. So I was at the Excel Center, University Heights, and then I went to Decatur Excel Center, and then I went to a middle school,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, and then finally landed at the school where I'm at now.
Uh-huh.
That was the perfect fit.
Ah, lovely.
So I don't know about anyone else, but they actually had women in leadership and they had a critically conscious male at the helm
Hmm.
who actually mentored and nurtured all of his leaders
Mm.
so that they would be great. And it was just a different atmosphere.
Hmm.
So listening to these women champion for other women and actually saying, I can remember one telling me, why have an ego? And I thought, absolutely, why?
Hmm.
She said, I'm not here to stay. My job is to train and educate other women and nurture them and pour into them so that then I can move. They can take my position and they can do the same. And I thought, how many leaders do you hear that from?
Not many, that's for sure.
No,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to keep making this money, but no. And that's exactly what she did. That's exactly what she did.
Wow.
Of course, she's still doing amazing things, but I mean, to this day, I see her in, I mean, it's just, I have nothing but love and respect for her
Oh,
to
that's
this day.
fabulous. So
She's super.
what did you think of the dissertation writing process? Was it difficult for you to move to that unstructured environment where you're not delivering papers and coursework and forums to just you're on your own timeline?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because sometimes I didn't want to write.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I found myself slipping more. Um, it was actually my conversation with Mercedes. And we were talking right after the new year of 2021. And I told her, I said, so we're now in 2022 and it's January.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I said, we will complete our dissertation this year. We are going to defend our first 3 chapters and we are going to walk in December
Mm-hmm.
before the next new year. And she said, okay, we're gonna touch and agree. I said, okay, we're touching and agreeing. We're putting this out in the universe, from our mouths to God's ears, all
Mm-hmm.
of that.
Mm-hmm.
And she still will say, you know what you said?
Yeah.
And I said, yes, because I don't know how much longer I could have continued with all the other things. Because now, I have a new position and they promoted me. So I had even more responsibility because now I'm training teachers to be more in the classroom because I'm teaching them how to lead in their classrooms
Mm.
and just having fun and making sure we do activities with students, making sure I'm the mentor that they need me to be
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not only your teacher, I'm your mentor, I'm your counselor, I'm your nurturer. I have to show you empathy. I give you love. I cook for you. I do all the things because this is the wraparound that you need just so you can do well in the environment that the
Right.
school is in.
Right.
So,
So what led you to qualitative? Let's be honest. Was it really did you frame the research question in a way that would take you in that direction? Did you want to stay away from quantitative? And how did that go?
you know what? After that statistics class, I said qualitative all the way.
Uh-huh. Let's find a
And,
topic and a research question that leads me down that path.
oh my God, that statistics class, now that was my nightmare.
Hmm.
That was my moment that I was like, I'm ready to walk away from this.
Hmm.
This is crazy. How many pages am I supposed to have? How much? What are they asking me to find?
Right.
I don't know anymore
What are these
because
words? Yeah.
it was terrible. And then I couldn't call anybody. I was so terrified. I would not even call because usually I'm calling Suki or I'm calling Mercedes or even Silas. I, I'm not calling anybody because I'm terrified to call anyone because he said, do not. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, absolutely not. I will not. So I can remember my sister calling me and she said, are you okay? I said, I am ready to just walk away. I don't know. I don't know what they want. My head hurts. She's like, oh, you just need to take a walk. Come on, let's go on a walk. And so she came and got me and we walked for miles. And she's like, do you feel better? I said, I think I'm too tired to think about anything else because you walked me to death. So yeah, but yeah, I wanted to stay away from quantitative. They asked me about teaching statistics. Absolutely no. I
Mhm.
will never teach statistics. Give me any, I will take algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, calculus, trig. Yeah, lay it on me. Statistics, absolutely not.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
So you get past the proposal seminar, so you defend the first three chapters. You owned it, like I know you knew you would, and it was yours, unlike the comp exam, right? Where
Yes,
again you felt
yes.
super confident. So tell us a little bit about finding your sample, your population for your interviews and the interview experience itself.
You know what? I feel like God actually led me to this school
Hmm.
because the school has a total of four schools because they do like kindergarten to second grade,
Hmm.
and then third to fifth, and then middle school, and then the high school. And so I had each one of the leaders at each one of those schools supported me by having me come in to their morning meetings and then actually ask their teachers and their staff members to actually participate.
Hmm.
And they led by example because they gave me their information so they could be a part of it.
No, my goodness.
So I knew I was at the right place.
Right.
I ended up with 41 women who had volunteered to be a part of this. But then after going through the process, I left with 19.
Okay.
But that's still a lot for
Hmm.
qualitative research.
It is.
Yeah. So 19
Wow.
people.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. Oh
So
my
you
God.
so you collect all the data, and how in the world did you go about getting the transcriptions for 19 individuals and qualitatively analyzing that? It sounds like a nightmare.
Oh, believe me, it was. I spent did lots of all-nighters,
Hmm.
lots of coffee. It's funny though, no one knew that I was sleep deprived, which is kind of scary. To walk into a school and they think you've had your full 8 hours,
Uh-huh.
but I'm good at faking
Yep.
things. So would stay up all night and just pour into and plus the data was so interesting,
Hmm.
from women who were diverse learners
Hmm.
who were now leaders and leading others because of other women and men who had poured into them
Mm.
and nurtured and mentored them and actually used things that were basically inquiry based.
Hmm.
And so that's why I was so excited when I read Davis's work on appreciative inquiry,
Hmm.
and like it generates this energy when it's connected to emotional intelligence. And it's funny because now they even have this appreciative intelligence like emotional intelligence. So
Mm.
now it's one of the new intelligences. So I thought that was kind of cool to learn about that. So I'm like, I'm going to have to research that. So here I go
Love
down
it. Love
this,
it. So so
down
you
again.
so you
Yeah,
get through everything. You're able to then document what you need for chapters 4 and 5, and then
yeah,
comes the readiness for the defense. So, what level of
yeah.
intimidation did you have for that? Certainly not like the comp exam. How would you measure it relative to the proposal seminar?
You know what? It to me, I felt so comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with everyone in that moment because I had so much confidence in what I had written.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it it was their stories. And I just feel like the stories of other people have more power than numbers on a sheet of paper.
You were the vessel to deliver those stories, right? Through the writing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And I feel like I'm such a good storyteller anyway.
You are. You are.
Give give me a mic and let me tell a
That's
story.
right. That's right.
But I mean, and their story resonated so deeply with me. I can remember when Dr. Barnes said, "Okay, I'm going to pray for you." And all of a sudden her prayer, I just started crying.
At
Like,
the
I'm
beginning?
like,
Yeah.
what is wrong with me? I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so emotional right now because this is such a pivotal moment.
Hmm.
And I knew that this was a moment that, I tell my students all the time, itchy goo itchy a, one meeting, one moment, and they're non-repeatable.
Mm.
You might have the same meeting in the same room, same time, but it will never be exactly like the one you had the last time.
Right.
So I knew that this was going to be one of those unrepeatable moments. And I just couldn't hold it in. And Dr. Barnes didn't know what to do. She said, okay, just take a moment and get yourself together because it's not quite time yet. I said, okay. I said, I'll be okay by the time I
Yeah,
come
yeah, yeah, yeah,
back.
yeah.
Oh, it was crazy.
Wow.
I
Wow.
mean, so many emotions were
Hmm.
going through me at that time.
So you get through the presentation. There must have been a moment where you knew that you had confidently delivered the presentation. You had answered all the questions. You knew your committee so well. You knew your dissertation so well. You probably knew that you passed before, you were asked to leave the Zoom and then come back. But what were those moments like after you finished presenting and you're waiting for that text or that call?
You know what? There was a moment even before that. Dr. Borty said, I take issue with one thing that you said
Oh boy.
in your dissertation. And I thought, oh no, here it comes.
Here it comes.
I'm like, okay, where? He said, uh, you referred to yourself as a novice. And I'm like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you are not a novice. You are an expert. And I'm telling you, I'm like, okay, here we go again.
There we go again.
Here we
Yeah.
go.
Here come the
Here comes
tears.
the
Yeah.
waterworks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because for him to say that, I was like, because I mean, he was tough.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to get his seal of approval,
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was everything for me. That
Wow.
that moment. In that moment, I was like, wow, this is it.
So what was that celebration like when Dr. Barnes, being your dissertation chair, brings you back on and yeah.
Man, I tell you, in that moment, I had my kids calling me from Vegas, my
Mm-hmm.
son-in-law. I had friends calling me. When I walked into work the next day, they were on pins and needles because I hadn't sent
Uh-huh.
anything. And they said, well, are we going to release the balloons and confetti or are we, but Angie had already told them. So they knew because my
Mhm.
second daughter works where I work at.
Oh, I see.
So she had already let them know that I had passed. And so then it was all Dr. Sharp and everything. And they had the kids were calling me Dr. Grandma
No.
because they would just call me grandma. And
Mhm.
then when I became a doctor, they said, Dr. Grandma. And I'm like, okay. So, I mean, that was pretty amazing. And, then we had dinner at Cooper's Hawk. So we had
Excellent.
elevated, but it was so surreal,
Hmm.
in that
Hmm.
moment. I mean, there were still moments that I still felt like, did I really deserve this? And And, I friends were like, absolutely. We had to deal with you on all those vacations carrying books
Mm-hmm.
in your computer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can remember being in Mexico at a wedding, and everyone was having a wonderful time celebrating.
Wow.
And I come back to the hotel room and do an all-nighter because it's due by whatever AM Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So I had to get to typing. That was fun. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I would not trade the journey for anything because it helped me actually appreciate, because there's so many other people that attempted but did not
Mm-hmm.
make it all the way through for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I was allowed to have the tenacity and the drive and the motivation to persevere and then execute the plan and then deliver on the
I
plan.
love it.
Everyone can't do that. So
So I had a
it's such
chance
a
to read your acknowledgments and your dedication, and tell us a little bit about like your support systems. Obviously, your four daughters, your
yes.
grandchildren, and you have a
Uh-huh.
great grandchild now as well.
Yes,
And
yes.
then the inspiration of your parents. You said just leading by
Yeah.
example and instilling in you the work ethic, and
Yeah.
yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
your dad was said, you'll be a doctor or attorney someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you know what? It's funny. He believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself.
Hmm.
I would say, no way I'm going to school for that long. Are you kidding me?
Hmm.
I can remember going to a Black Expo, and my colleague that I was with stopped at Martin University's booth. And she was talking to her about continuing her education to get a master's degree.
Hmm.
And the woman kept asking me, well, don't you want some information? And I told her no. And at first I said, no, thank you. And she just kept asking me. And I said, excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but I believe I make more than you do. And I don't have a college degree.
Hmm.
And I thought, how arrogant and pompous was I, and how God had a way of bringing me down to size in the same school that I basically snubbed. I ended up going for my undergrad.
No kidding. Yeah. Yeah.
So, so that was amazing. But my dad, my regret is my parents were not here. My mother passed just before I was going to graduate, like a few months before I would have graduated with
Hmm.
my undergrad.
Hmm.
And my father had, passed long before, but I just believe that they were there with me through the whole journey. And just like I said, when I went into the master's program, I entered on his birthday. His birthday was my starting day. And then my mother's birthday was the day I would have graduated from my master's program.
Mm.
And then to then graduate on my oldest daughter's birthday, I was like, okay,
It came full
I'm getting
circle.
all the messages now.
Yep. Yep.
This
Yep.
this was supposed to be. It was supposed to happen.
100%. So just
Yes.
some final wrap-up questions. So
Okay.
what do you want current doctoral students to know? Not just IWU, but just in anyone that's working to try to persevere.
You know what? I just want them to always remember that this is not just for you. The weight of this degree is to actually serve others
Mm.
and to be of service. You're not supposed to take the knowledge and just keep it or bury it in sand. How are you going to use it to make your family, your church, your community, your state? How are you using the knowledge that you gained
Hmm.
to improve your surrounding communities and eventually the world. So,
Right.
how are you going to implement what you've learned to make this a better world, a
I
better
love,
society for all?
yeah. And then what would you want students thinking about a doctoral program to know?
Whew,
Just thinking about
be prepared.
applying. Right.
Be prepared
Hmm.
and go in with an open mind, a willingness to learn, and be humble. Don't go in there like I did, all cocky, thinking,
Hmm.
oh, they accepted me, I must be great. you know have a mind ready to learn. Be like that sponge and
Hmm.
just absorb all of it, because it's so much. And just every little thing, everything that a teacher or a professor has to say is significant. So don't just sit there and like fade out. Make sure you are taking notes and you are ready to put 100% into that program, because 99.5 won't do.
Hmm. That's
It
right.
has to be all of you, and you have to have a strong support system, if not just your family, but your cohort.
Hmm.
Make sure you're talking to people within the cohort. Make sure you have professors that you can contact and say, I just don't understand.
Hmm.
There always has to be someone in your corner that you can talk to. Have a good support system, even a strong church family
Hmm.
that actually supports you as you go through the program, so that they can pray for you when you have those moments that you just want to throw in the towel.
I love those tips, but you didn't follow your own advice in statistics.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, I did not. I should have.
You should have.
That's why statistics still scares me today, Sean.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm like, absolutely not.
Good. Well, Dr.
You know,
Sharp, thank you for taking the time tonight. Really, really
absolutely.
appreciate it. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, great conversation. Thanks.
You are doing amazing work.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.